When we think of Emission Nen in Hunter x Hunter, the first thing that would come to mind would probably be something more or less along the lines of a Ki Blast from Dragon Ball. But there's actually a lot more to it than you'd initially think. It's not just an ability where you just shoot a giant Nen ball or something along those lines. It's not just a projectile. There's actually a lot more to it than you'd initially think. Hence abilities like Knuckles, Sachamono, and Melody. None of them use projectiles in combat, but why is it that they are emitter Nen types? Again, I can't stress it enough, there's really more to it than being able to shoot a Nen ball. Emission Nen has a distinct way of identifying it. Unlike transmutation, Nen emission is when aura is no longer a part of the body. For example, when Killua transmutes his electricity and attacks someone, they get damage from the electricity jumping off of Killua and onto his target. And this is exactly how Killua fights with his Nen transmutation. Electricity jumping off a Killua and onto a foe is completely different from shooting electricity from your hand. Killua shooting the electricity would make it no longer a part of his body, and since the aura would no longer be a part of his body, it would then become an emission technique. And just in case if you're still confused on what exactly I'm trying to say, I'll use another example. Hisoka using his bungee gum. When he uses it, the bungee gum is around his body, and then he'd use that gum to attack his foes. But if he were to leave a glob of it somewhere, it would then become an emission technique because it's no longer a part of his body. So in short, emission is when you create aura, and it's no longer a part of your body. For example, I could make invisible animals out of my aura, and because you can't use Gyo, you wouldn't be able to see them, because they are made entirely out of my aura. Emission is different from conjuring, because conjuring is when you make something in the physical world. So that means even if you don't use Gyo, you can see a conjured object. So what that means is, even if you do not know Nen and someone were to conjure an object, you'd be able to see it. But if somebody were to emit an object, you wouldn't, because it would be made entirely out of aura. And what makes conjuring and emission completely different from one another is that conjuring is using your aura to make a physical object, while emission is when whatever you create is entirely made out of your own aura. As long as it's entirely aura based and no longer a part of the aura from your body, it would be an emission technique. I could literally have an army of invisible fish attacking you, and you won't be able to do anything about it. And speaking of fish, we kind of have a character who does this exact same technique, and that's Crollo when he uses his indoor fish. Those fish are made entirely out of aura. And this is what makes emission so broken. It's the fact that when you create something, it does not exist on the physical plane. It's entirely aura based, so unless you know Nen, you cannot interact with it. To put it into simpler terms, emission is conjuring, but it's in another dimension or plane. The simplest forms of this would be projectile based attacks, such as Franklin's and Bravuda's Nen bullets, while the other more complex abilities would be conjuring-esque, like Nen beasts emitting complex projectiles, animate and inanimate objects, and generally anything you could think of. Emission would literally be no different than ghost abilities. Remember, they do not exist in the physical realm. So unless you can punch a ghost, good luck fighting that back. But to give more crazy examples of emission, the Rook from Magi or anything made in another plane would be emission. If you are a master emitter, you could have your very own stand or persona. As a master emitter, you could have a Kekai made out of Nen, like you're from Kekaiishi. And you could even make an invisible phasing sword with emission. Well, it would phase through physical objects at least. You could expel a poisonous gas into the air and make that gas drive people insane and poison them if you threw in some manipulation in there. You could make music that could calm or heal your allies. Do a Kamehameha, a ray gun, a Kienzan, and basically every fucking thing, bro. It's literally just conjuring, but with your own aura. Like, it's literally limitless. Whatever you can think of, you can basically do it, but it would be on another plane. You could even make your own Nen beast. Honestly, the better question is, in terms of emission, what can't you do? You can literally punch the truth out of someone by hitting their soul and beating it out of them. You can throw fireballs, acid, ice shards, explosions. Anything you can think of, you can do it. Personally, I think it's better Conjuring. But anyways, feel free to comment on the video and tell me what you guys would use as your own emission abilities, because I like to personally read that kind of stuff to see what you guys can come up with. But other than that, that is how emission then works, and I'm out.